Namaste, friends. This is Saroja Gullapalli. I have come back to you to continue the wisdom sharing of the story, the untold story of Sita. Before we start the 13th episode today, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all my beloved viewers of this PSSM Global channel. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Pitamaha Brahmashri Subhash Patwiji and Dena Madam. Before we embark on this journey of 13th episode, can I request you to join with me for 2 minutes meditation? My dear friends, cross your feet, lock your fingers, and place them in your lap. Gently close your eyes and be with your breath. Be with your normal breath. Through your breath, connect to your inner stillness. Connect to your stream of consciousness, my dear friends, that flows within us all and connects us all with that oneness. Try to connect with the energy of Sita Ma and Lord Hanuman. And let's invoke their energies on this platform today as we start our 13th episode. Kindly rub your palms together and place them on your closed eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You can remove your palms from your eyes and open your eyes slowly. Welcome, friends, to the 13th episode. In the last episode, along with Love and Kush, we heard so many stories. In fact, they were not stories, they are legends of great rishis, sages, the female sages who had done miraculous work in this creation. And Mata shared those stories as nighttime bed stories before Love and Kush went to sleep. And we were so fortunate to listen to the true versions of the stories through Mata and through Soma. As we move forward in the story, not long after this, a very strange incident took place. One day when Soma came to Mata's cottage, she felt that Mata was quite at unease. She didn't understand what was the reason. Everything seemed to be normal. Love and Kush were having quite good health. There was plenty of food in the cottage. And she could not really see anything wrong going on around the cottage or inside the cottage. But she didn't understand why Mata was not her normal self. So she asked Mata, And Mata replied, "Don't worry, Soma, it will reveal itself." The day passed, but Mata would periodically look out the door and glance toward the forest as if she was expecting someone. And Soma thought, maybe she's missing Sri Rama, and hence she's expecting him or hoping for his arrival. But little did Soma know that it wasn't Sri Rama that she was looking forward to. The next day morning, when Soma opened her cottage door, she found a tigress lying at the gate of the cottage. As soon as the tigress saw Mata at the doorway, he lifted her head and let out a very agonizing cry, which actually frightened the children. Mata looked at the tigress for some time, shook her head, came inside, closed the door. All that night and day, the tigress just lay there, and every now and then it would let out agonizing cry. Finally, Soma could not stand it, and she went to Mata and said, "Mata, I think you need to attend to the tigress. It may be wounded, or she is wounded." Mata said, "Yes, she is wounded, but not in the body. She's wounded in the heart." Then Soma asked, "Do you know what the problem is?" Mata said, "Yes." She nodded her head and she said, "I will go to her, but not just yet. She has to realize the mistake, the grave mistake she has done." The second day passed and the second night passed. The tigress didn't move, neither did Mata go to the tigress. On the third day, Mata went out of her cottage, went to the gate where the tigress was lying. She went there, knelt in front of the tigress. The moment Mata went to the tigress and knelt in front of her, the tigress placed her head on Mata's lap. It was just as if a child was placing her head in her mother's lap. Mata stroked the tigress' head and started speaking to her, saying, "Look, what you did was wrong. Now you must take your cubs and go deep into the forest and stay away from all the human inhabitants. The humans will hunt you now. So go quickly deep into forest," said Mata. As Mata was talking about the cubs of the tigress, 3 cubs emerged from the forest. They were hiding there behind some trees. All the 3 little cubs approached Mata. It felt as if they all were taking Mata's blessings. And then the tigress and the cub, they left. They went into the forest. When they were gone, Mata explained to Soma that a hunter who went into the forest killed one of the cubs of the tigress. She had 4, but now she has only 3 because one of the hunter has killed one of her cubs. And obviously, being a mother, the tigress was in a fit of anger. So what she did, she went into the nearby village and killed a little boy. Now the villagers are hunting for this tigress. Look, Soma, this is how the war between man and nature begins. And Mata was so sad because Mata cannot see any harm done either to man or to nature. She wants them both to be part of one fabric. But Mata now can see that there was a war that had begun between the man and nature. And then she said to Soma, "Soma, I must go to that family who has lost their little boy. Let us cook." As you all know, my dear friends, whenever Mata goes to comfort anyone, one of the means is through the amazing food that she cooks with love and with all the medicinal herbs that she can add that brings a lot of comfort or healing to the person who is in pain. So then, as Soma was helping Mata in the kitchen, Mata was quietly repeating these words again and again. "Oh, I must have Hanuman with me, and I need the chariot. I must have Hanuman with me and the chariot." And Soma didn't understand why she's keeping on repeating the same thing. Throughout the morning, they prepared food, big quantities of food. And by early afternoon, to Soma's surprise, a chariot arrived and out stepped Hanuman. And Soma could not believe because that's what Mata has been saying. And Mata looked at Hanuman and said, "Oh, thank God you're here. Now let me get dressed and we will go." And Hanuman said, "Mata, I heard you calling me, but where are we going?" And Mata did not explain much, and she said, okay, you will see. She comes inside, and normally, because she's in a cottage, she's in a hermitage, she's leading a life of a sage. She never dresses her up. She's always dressed in a very simple dress. But now, from the chest, she took out her royal attire, and she asked Soma to help her dress. And Soma didn't understand. Why now Mata has to dress like a Maharani? And Mata said, the place where I'm going, it'll be more meaningful to them if they see their Rani rather than me in my saintly dress. So Soma asked, meaningful to whom, Mata? Where are you going? But Mata didn't answer. Instead, Mata directed Soma to put the big pot of food that they had prepared into the chariot. She requested Soma to stay with the children, and she took off with Hanuman. And now Soma says that because I wasn't there with Mata, I didn't know what happened till they returned back. But upon their return, Hanuman told Soma what all happened since they left the hermitage. So what had happened was Mata and Hanuman, they went in the chariot from one village to next until Mata finally arrived at the outskirts of one of the village and said to Hanuman, I think this is the one, Hanuman. So they got down the chariot, and in the village they kept looking from hut to hut or house to house to find which was the house where the mourning was happening, because whoever would have lost their son would be mourning. So she asked Hanuman to bring the food, and as they went from hut to hut, she finally found the weeping mother. Mata whispered to Hanuman, because Hanuman didn't know till then why they had come all the way. So then Mata told them, a hunter had killed the cub of a tigress, and the tigress in her anger has killed this woman's child. And now the village men are hunting the tigress, Hanuman, and I must stop them. And that's when Hanuman understood all the agony that Mata was going through. As Mata reached that house where the mourning was taking place, she stood at the doorway waiting for someone to let her in or invite her. Hanuman could see the pain and the agony on Mata's face when she was looking at the weeping mother inside. And the mother inside was calling out to her small son who had been killed. And suddenly, that woman's husband saw Mata standing in the doorway, and he quickly realized that it was Maharani. So he went to Sita Ma and said, please forgive us. We took this long to look at you. We are totally lost in our grief for our young son. We have lost our son. And Mata said, you don't have to apologize. I heard about the incident, and hence I have brought this food. Let me sit with your wife and let me look after her. And then Hanuman came inside with Mata with the food. And then Mata went to the weeping mother. And that the weeping mother realized that Maharani herself had come to console her. She could not believe it, and she said to Mata, forgive me because I'm not able to receive the way I should receive a Maharani. Mata quietly and very kindly spoke to her, said, I understand. You have lost your son. Nothing I can say can ease your pain, but I'm a mother too, and I know the deep wound that has caused in your heart because you have lost your son. But please let me help you. I have cooked this food. And Mata explained that, if you eat this food, you will get some relief, because Mata had put some special herbs. And we have seen in the past what Mata had done, how Mata can do miracles with her food by adding the right kind of special herbs that she personally picks up from the nature. So she laid out the food, and as Mata watched, the lady finished her meal. And after finishing the meal, the effects of the special herbs started on her, and she laid down beside Mata and she fell asleep. The husband came to Mata and said, I'm so grateful to you. I don't know what you have done, but since our son has been killed for the last 3-4 days, neither she had taken any food or she has gone to sleep. I'm so glad that you have come to comfort her. The son we have lost was the youngest of our 3 children, and he was very dear to my wife. So Mata sat there sharing their grief. And then the owner of that house looked around and saw that it was night, and he asked Mata and Hanuman, it's quite late in the night, would you like to spend here in the village tonight? And When both Hanuman and Mata said yes, he said, I will make arrangements for your stay. You can stay at the village chief's house. Mata said, look, you don't have to go that long to make us comfortable. We've only come to comfort you. But I don't want to leave your wife in this condition. I want her to rest well tonight. And tomorrow when she wakes up, I would like to spend some time, talk to her, and then go. And as Mata was leaving that hut and going into to that accommodation, what they arranged for her night stay, people of the village had come to know that Maharani has come to visit. They were all so humbled. They all came to greet Maharani. They would touch her feet and bow. And Mata was again respectfully greeting them back and saying to Hanuman, look how gentle and respectful these villagers are. Suddenly someone shouted from behind, and Mata could hear him saying, don't worry, Maharani, we will find that tigress and we'll kill her. Mata could not believe what she was hearing. She turned around to see who had spoken, and it was one of the village elders. She shook her head and said, no, if you do that, more violence will happen. You must kill this stopping right now. And that was the purpose why Mata had come, to stop this chain of killing. And that's what happens, my dear friends, even in the current world. One mistake or one error from one person happens, and that just continues into a chain unless some wise person comes and puts a stop to it. Here, Mata was doing that catalyst job to stop this chain of killing that was about to happen. The crowd fell silent, but that person was insisting. He said, Maharani, if we do not kill that dangerous, vicious animal, it will come back again. We have lost one child, we may lose more. Mata said, don't worry, I met the tigress. A hunter had killed her cub, and obviously she's a mother, so she retaliated. But in the process, she has killed an innocent boy from your village. But don't worry, I have spoken to her. I've sent her deep into the forest. She will not kill again. Just let her be. You both have suffered. She has lost her young cub. You have lost your child in this village. Can we just stop it here? The man did not respond. Then Mata and Hanuman went to the village chief's house, spent the night. But Mata was awakened very early in the morning by some commotion happening outside. So Hanuman and Mata woke up. They went outside where the village elders were all there. They were speaking to the man who raised his voice the previous night. And they were all ready to go. They were all dressed as if they were ready to go in the forest to hunt the tigress. Mata approached them and pleaded them once more, saying, can you please abandon your search for that tigress? But the men insisted. They said, Maharani, you have to forgive us. But you know how much we have suffered. We cannot lose another life if we don't hunt down the tigress now. We know for sure she'll come back and she'll kill another child. As Mata was trying to reason with these all village elders who had gathered there, suddenly she saw the village women. They were emerging from their huts and they encircled the whole group of men. And the elders did not understand what the women were doing. So they said, what are you doing? And then the women said, don't you understand? Our Maharani has come all the way to comfort us. And you are not showing any regard or even listening to her request. We will not let you leave. You cannot go to forest for hunting. So they encircled the man and would not let them go. Neither side was budging, neither the men or the women. As this battle was going on, the silent battle between the men and women, suddenly Mata saw the door of the hut open where the family had lost their son. The mother came out of the hut, and as she was walking towards the group, she appeared as if she was walking in a dream. She reached Mata and fell at Mata's feet. Mata gently lifted her and whispered in her ear, you have seen your son in your dream, have you not? What did he say? Tell all the village what your beautiful son said to you. Then the mother of that boy who was killed said, yes, I saw my son in the dream. He asked me not to cry for him anymore. Not only that, he asked me not to kill the tigress. He explained me, Mom, as you have lost me, The tigress has also lost her child. You have to understand. And as the woman was explaining this, tears filled her eyes, and now no one could speak a word. Finally, she went to the elders and said, "Please, don't disobey Maharani. Maharani has come all the way for our son. And because what Maharani has done, this is the least we can do for her." Listening to that mother's voice and what she had seen in the dream, because her lost son had come back to her dream and requested not to kill the tigress, the group slowly disbanded and they went back to their own huts. And as Mata left, Mata went to the hunters and she said, "If you want to keep peace in the forest, then only take as much as you need. Don't take more than what your need is because of greed." And this Mata had said in many other instances, if you can remember the episodes before, where Soma had clearly told us what Mata used to say, that nature has got plenty to feed everyone on this earth. But when people start to have greed, when people take more than their need, there is imbalance in the nature, and that causes droughts and famines and earthquakes, tsunamis. So any imbalance in the nature, we human beings are responsible for our behavior. And again, in this instance, Mata goes to the villagers who were initially about to go hunting the tigress. And Mata says that if you want to keep the peace in the forest, then don't take more than what you need. Then the village chief told Mata, "Mata, it's not we who are doing it. We always try to keep the balance in the forest. It is the people from the city of Ayodhya." Then he explained that people from the city of Ayodhya are coming all the way into the forest now, and they're not looking for food. They're looking for pleasure. They're hunting for pleasure. And because of that, we are reaping the results like what the tigress has done to us. We don't know how to stop these people who are coming for hunting for pleasure in the forest. Mata did not know that before. She was quite concerned to hear that. This was a new development. She had not heard that before, that people from Ayodhya were now stooping down this level. So Mata said to them, "Let me see what I can do." And before she left, Mata embraced the mother who had lost her child and said, "My dear, don't worry. In a few years, you will have another son. I know you will never, nobody can replace the son you have lost, but you will have another son who will give you lot of joy in your life back again. The joy that you have lost because of the death of your child will come back again with that son. But you have to understand, the son you have lost, he must now continue his journey to a new birth. But what is happening is your tears are holding him back. To let him go on his journey, you have to help him proceed with your love." And Mata said, "You have to send your love unceasingly to that son of yours who is in the divine realm." That is the role of mother, to help the child along his or her journey. The woman totally understood and nodded and thanked Mata for opening her eyes. Because till that point, till Mata came, the woman was constantly crying and asking her son to come back. This is in the physical realm, but in the non-visible realm, where the soul of the son was, his mother crying was pulling him back. But could he have returned in his body? No. His connection to his physical body was severed. So there was no way he could come back. But the tears of his mother were pulling him back to the material realm. But the purpose of his life was to move on, continue his journey, take a new birth. So that soul was struggling between his purpose to go forward and his mother's tears pulling him back. And Mata understood the commotion or the confusion that soul was going through. And hence, the whole thing happened, what we have seen, the son coming into the mother's dream. And now the mother understood that she was holding back her son. My dear friends, the lesson here for us is, whenever we lose someone very near and dear, this is the exact story that happens in our lives too. Because it's very difficult to miss our loved ones. We want them back. We cry not for 1 day, 2 days, for many days we are crying and calling them back. But hope this incident makes us understand that yes, mourning is fine. Everyone goes to the grief. But after a certain time, we have to let go the soul. We cannot torture the soul by our so-called love or attachment by calling the soul back. Let us give our soul, our love, our unconditional love to that soul to help that soul progress on their journey, whatever that journey may be. Such an important lesson we have learned, my dear friends. So, as Mata and Hanuman were coming back in the chariot, Hanuman asked, Mata, you found that boy in the divine world, didn't you? Mata said, yes, he was lost. He could not return to life. He couldn't move forward. And hence I asked the boy to come into his mother's dream. And that would ease mother's pain, because once she sees her son in the dream, then he can talk to mother and say that this is my journey, mother. Let me proceed. And Mata also asked the boy that if he could protect the tigress who had killed him. That boy agreed, and Mata says he was a very wise soul. And that's why he understood that it was not tigress's fault. It was the anger in that tigress by losing its child. And Mata said he's a wise soul and he will have a great birth. So Mata and Hanuman, when they returned, Mata seemed to be very disturbed because she can see that there is a big gap now in middle of nature, between nature and human being, the way the whole thing started in this incident. So next day morning, um, so that night, Mata did not even tell any story to Lava and Kush because she was very preoccupied. When Soma woke up the next morning and she went into Mata's cottage, Mata wasn't there. And when she came out, she saw Hanuman sitting at the gate. So she hurried to Hanuman and she asked, where is Mata? And he pointed to the forest. And just in the beginning of the forest, she saw Mata sitting on that boulder by a tree in meditation. And she asked Hanuman, when did that happen? And Hanuman said to Soma, in the middle of the night, Soma. I was sleeping outside when I saw Mata leave her cottage and walk into the forest. So I decided to stay up and I've been watching over her since then. And when Soma asked Hanuman what happened, why Mata was so preoccupied when she returned, that's when Hanuman tells all this story to Soma. And he says that Mata is very troubled by the separation between human being and the natural world. And she's concerned that this gap would increase to such an extent that this would endanger many species, many life forms, because she can see that happening. So Mata is in lot of pain, just as she can foresee the destruction in the nature. So Hanuman says, Soma, don't worry. You do what you have to do, take care of things. I will stay here and keep watch of Mata until she emerges from the meditation. And Mata stayed in meditation for days. And Soma started to feel very concerned. And then one day, Soma went to Hanuman and she said, Hanuman, you should go to Ayodhya and let Sri Ram know about her state. If you remember, Soma remembered those incidents in Mithila when Mata sat in meditation for days and would not come out. And there was an incident, if you guys remember, when Janak Baba and all the sages, they failed to bring Mata from her meditation back. And that's when it was Sri Ram's energy that brings back Mata to this material realm. So hence Soma says to Hanuman, it's been long time when Mata is sitting in meditation. And then Hanuman said, but Sri Ram is already with Mata. Soma didn't understand. What do you mean? When did he come? And Hanuman said, right on the first night, when Mata sat in the meditation, I saw Sri Ram coming. He straight away went to Mata where she was sitting, took her hand, lifted her, and they both walked into the forest. And when I started following them, Mata turned and asked me to stay. She said, you be here. So Hanuman said, I know where they were going. They're going to travel all around the earth and they're going to bless every part of it together. They're going to walk through the lands which they walked during their exile. and also the other parts that they did not visit before. This time, there's not going to be a single patch of land which will not be blessed by Sri Ram and Mata Sita by their footprints. They are embedding their love in every particle of this earth, and this is the gift they want to leave on the earth before they go. And then Hanuman said, and I know when they leave this earth, I'm going to go to all those places that this couple have visited, and I'm going to follow their footsteps. I will bow down each and every imprint that they are leaving on the body of the Vasundharama. Hanuman has got so much devotion for Sri Ram and Mata. But Soma is still confused. She said, what do you mean Mata and Sri Ram has gone all around the earth? I can see Mata is seated there. I can see her now. How can she be circling the earth? Then Hanuman smiled and he said, same thing with Sri Ram. In Ayodhya, he's locked away in his room in meditation for days. Yet, I'm seeing them both here. Yet, I saw them both in their physical bodies going into the forest. This is the mystery of Sri Ram and Mata Sita. They're not confined in one physical form. They can assume multiple forms if need be. And just as they were speaking, they could see the darkening sky with the clouds as if there was a downpour going to be. And when it rained, Hanuman made sure that just that place where Mata was doing meditation in her physical body, that patch remained dry, whereas rest of the nature, rest of the parts were covered with the downpour of rain. Such was the devotion of Hanuman towards Sita Mata. No water touched her body. This was the great powers of Hanuman. Soma says, I don't know how many days passed, and Mata's body was still sitting there in meditation. And as Hanuman said, Sri Ram and Mata must be circling the earth, leaving their blessings and love everywhere. After a long time, Mata returned to waking consciousness. But when Mata came out of that meditation, there was a glow in her. Every day before Mata came into consciousness, when she was in meditation, Soma was leaving a bowl of water and fruit for Mata. Though Mata was not touching, but Soma's hope was sometime Mata would wake up and she hasn't eaten anything, so there should be some food with Mata. But every day the animals from the forest would come and enjoy that offering. And Soma knew that would make Mata so happy. But Soma was worried about Mata's health. But finally, when Mata rose from her meditation spot and walked towards the hut, Soma was so surprised that Mata had a lot more strength than what she had before. It appeared as if she had been eating and drinking all along. There was no sign of weakness at all. And Soma was so happy to see Mata. And she said to Mata, Mata, let me prepare some food for you. And Mata smiled and she said, don't you worry. I have eaten well. Wherever I went, I was given with love lot of exotic dishes. And Sri Ram and I have tasted lots of food from all parts of the world. The generosity, the goodwill I have seen, and the care people are doing for the forest, for the animals and plant life. I'm so happy. Now I know, doesn't matter what I have been through in the last, the incident that Mata is mentioning about. I still know that there will always be people in this world who have unbounded love for this earth, who will always take care of the earth and protect the life here. And Mata was very happy with the trip she had made. Then Mata checked on the children, and everything was back to normal after Mata's journey around the world. And all the unease and sadness that Mata had before was all gone after Mata's excursion encircling the earth. And some weeks later, when Sri Ram was visiting Mata, he was quite happy what Mata has done. And he said, I'm so glad, Sita, you could go to the family of that boy who was killed, and you comforted that mother. That way, they have faith in us that the royal family is going to look after people. So, and not only that, as a mother, you have a wonderful gift, and you can heal anyone. And what you did for that mother really healed her because she had lost a child. And he also said, he said, something must be done, Sita. As you said, it was a hunter from, um, because Sita explains to Sri Ram that it was a hunter from Ayodhya who did all this, who started all this chain of killing. And she also mentions to Rama that the killing was not for survival, it was just for pleasure, just to show that human beings have more power on the animal kingdom. And Mata said to Sri Ram, this is not a way to maintain harmony between humans and nature. And Sri Ram, when he heard about it, he agreed and he said, you're right. Ayodhya is slowly growing in power, and people are overstepping their boundaries and they're disregarding the law of the nature. Now, all this kind of hunting has to be restricted only to the forest communities because they know the balance of nature. They know to take only as much as is required. So Sri Ram said, every village, all the villages that are around the forest will keep a small part of forest, and that is for animals only, and humans cannot enter. That way, the whole forest can be divided into parts, and each part can be looked after by a village. And we will make sure, and that village can make sure that no hunters enter their part of the forest. And this is how we will establish regulations, and we will make sure that man's needs and nature's needs are balanced. So constantly they are thinking of bringing new regulations, new rules to make sure there's balance between the nature and the human being. As time was passing, another incident happened within a year. And one afternoon, when Mata went to the forest to collect the herbs and medicines. So when she came back to the hermitage, when she came back to the cottage, one of the teachers from the hermitage came running to her, and he looked so frightened. And he explained to Mata that there was a chariot. It was carrying the wife and daughter of a family who are very close to their guru. But on its way, the chariot on its way to the hermitage, they were coming to uh, their guru to take the blessings because the daughter's marriage was coming up. So the daughter and the mother were traveling alone in that chariot. Um, and then on the way, the chariot was stopped by the robbers who killed the guards and harmed the daughter. And both the mother and daughter, they took a bad fall from the chariot and were unconscious. And the teacher was so worried that his guru will be so furious when he returns and discovers that one of a very close disciple's family has gone through this. So Mata said, don't worry, where are they? Bring them here right away. So mother and daughter were soon carried in the cottage. The daughter's condition was very, very bad. She was bleeding profusely. Her breathing was quite shallow, and it was irregular. It was looking she may not even survive. And when they left mother and daughter in Mata's cottage and went away, Mata examined them both and said, mother is all right. She's just had a small wound. She'll be all right. But the daughter is badly wounded. Not only that, she's been violated multiple times. And Mata shook her head and said, get me the basket of medicine which I just picked this morning. And then they cleaned up the girl while Mata prepared the herbal mixture. And for hours, Mata rubbed the paste of the herbal mixture on that daughter's womb area. And Soma was trying to put some liquid into her mouth. That whole night, Mata and Soma, they were seated by the girl, trying to help her. And Mata sat next to the girl in meditation, uttering mantras in a barely audible voice. This went on for hours. As Soma was rubbing the paste on girl's womb, Mata continued to do meditation with mantras. And while rubbing that paste on the girl's womb, Soma must have fallen asleep, but she was woken up by a big commotion going outside. And when she opened her eyes, she saw Mata was bending over the girl just to check her breathing. And Mata said to Soma, she's coming back to life. Looks like all that we have done throughout the night is helping. And her breathing is coming back to normal. and the commotion outside was growing louder. And Mata just tried to make sense of what's going on outside. And suddenly Mata's expression changed and she shouted, saying, "No." And before Soma knew what happened, Mata just like a streak of lightning, she rushed outside. And one moment she was sitting inside the cottage, and other moment she ran to the door. And when by the time Soma went, Soma saw Mata. She was the scene was there were two men, which apparently were the two bandits or the two robbers, Soma thought, who had been thrown to the ground by people around. And Mata was standing as if trying to shield them. And in front of Mata was the Guruji of that hermitage, who stood there with raised arm, raised hand, as if he was about to utter a curse. So what had happened was they had found the two robbers, and Guruji had returned from wherever he had been, and he was extremely angry when he got to know what those two robbers had done to the woman and her daughter. And in his anger, he was about to curse them when Mata, sitting inside, could see from her third eye vision what was about to happen, and she could not let the curse chain go forward anymore. She had to stop this chain of curses, and that was her responsibility. One of the duties that why she came to this incarnation. So Mata rushed and she shielded those two robbers, though they had done wrong, but the punishment was not going to be through the curse, and that was the reason she was shielding them. And Soma heard Mata's voice. Mata shouted, "No, this is the end of the time of curses. You have to stop giving curse." But it was not Mata's voice. It did not seem that the voice came from a physical body. It seemed that the voice came from all around the nature. It appeared it came from the sky, from the earth, from the trees, from everywhere around. It seemed that the whole nature was echoing, the whole creation was echoing what Mata was saying. And Soma could not believe what she saw. And when Mata shouted, and that scream that came from all around, because of that, the Guru was frozen as if he was paralyzed. And just at that time, Soma saw Sri Ram had just arrived. And after a few moments, the Guru stopped the curse that he was about to give. And before Soma understood what happened, Mata came back into the cottage, stood by the window with her back towards Soma, and Soma could see Mata's whole body was trembling as if it was vibrating with great force. And Mata could see, Soma could see from the time Mata shouted at the Guruji that the time of the curse has to end, it appeared as if a force had appeared, as a big force had entered Mata, and that was still continuing, because of which Mata was trembling. Soma did not have the courage to even approach her, because the kind of power that was emanating from Mata's body was tremendous. It took almost 30 minutes, and after that Soma saw Sri Ram approaching their cottage. Soma stood there next to the girl who was lying down. Sri Ram entered the cottage, came straight away to Soma and asked Soma, "How are the mother and daughters?" While Sri Ram was talking to Soma, Soma looked at Mata. Mata's body was still trembling, as if currents of lightning were passing through her. It looked like as if Shakti has been invoked by Mata. And Soma had never seen that form of Mata. And Sri Ram asked Soma, "How are the mothers and daughters?" She mentioned that mother is okay. There's just a bruise on the head. The daughter was badly wounded, but now Sita Mata had said that she was recovering. And after that, Sri Ram goes to Mata and he placed his hand on her shoulder. The moment Sri Ram's, she could, the moment Sri Ram touched Sita Mata, the trembling of Sita Mata ceased. And Sri Ram took a minute, and once the trembling had stopped of Sita Mata, he said, "Sita, those two men have been banished for killing the guards, and for all that they have done. And outside, nobody knows what happened with the young girl." Mata turned to look at Sri Ram. And he continued and he said, Sita, you did the right thing. The curses, once upon a time, the curses were necessary for the sake of justice. But you're right, Sita, that time of curse has passed. Too many curses have been issued out of anger, not for justice. And my dear friends, we have narrated so many examples here when curses were given out of anger, not for justice. And Sita Mata then looked at Sri Ram and said, the poor girl has been violated multiple times, but whatever I have done to her, she will have no memory of it, and her body will bear no signs. She will be emotionally and mentally healed, physically healed. Her mother also won't have any memory of this incident. They will go back to their lives completely healed so that they can proceed with their marriage, with the girl's marriage. And Mata was so sad, saying, for no fault of that girl, she was violated. But if the society knows about this, there will be, her life will be destroyed, and this is not justice. And Sri Ram said, yes, Sita, you're right. This is the ignorance of the people. The only way to get out of this kind of conundrum is dispelling of ignorance. And he said, what happened to the girl? Such deeds have happened in the past, but that has happened only because of lust. But this is not because of lust. This is because of revenge. Those robbers wanted to take revenge because they had grudge against the girl's daughter. But what they did, instead of taking revenge with the father, they abused the daughter. And this is the way the revenge was completed. And Guruji was so angry that he was about to curse these two robbers, and those two robbers have got young girls, and I don't want, because of Guruji's curse, that the daughters of these robbers suffer. Because why should the families suffer because of someone having done this kind of a crime in the family? So both Sita Mata and Sri Ram are talking about what Mata has done is right. And then Sri Ram said, whatever Ravana did before he was killed, the negative thoughts, the negative energies that he had let out on this earth, see how they are reflecting in the form of human minds, the two robbers' negative thoughts. He said, just as man is learning to dominate the nature, so man is not only dominating the nature, but in the future he will also seek to dominate women. And Sita, that is the character of the darkened ages that are to come. But that will pass too. But we must insert the thought patterns that will secure this world until time moves through the approaching cycles and begins to bring back access to the knowledge that's being lost. And Sri Ram said, it's not just women who will suffer, Sita. When Shakti withdraws, it's just not women, it's the whole of natural world. In the time that's about to come, the separation between mankind and nature will prevent them from seeing the devas and devis, the shaktis that animate this world. Earlier we said that in Satya Yuga, the rivers, the mountains, hills, all have the divine power and they knew about their divinity. But what Sri Ram is saying, that the time is coming when people won't see the divinity in the nature. And even the nature will forget their divinity. All that knowledge will be lost. And men will forget that women are the bearers of the Shakti, the force of life. And not only men, even women will forget their energies. But Shakti that has withdrawn will be patiently waiting for the ascending arc. We all know about the descending arc and ascending arc. Sita, we have to patiently wait for the time that will restore the world back again. And this is what we have come for, so that we can embed this remembrance into humanity. Because when the time is right, and in the turning of cycles, so the turning of cycle is the ascending arc, this knowledge will re-emerge. We will come again into this world, you and I, Sita, to reawaken the realm of matter. So much he's saying of the times that will come when all that feminine energy will come back and Shakti will again come back in its full form. But when Shakti comes back, the knowledge that's lost should not be lost forever. The knowledge has to come back. And the job of Sita Mata and Sri Ram is to put that seed at that time so that when the ascending arc time comes, and the Shakti comes back, the knowledge comes back along with it. So after a while, both mother and daughter, they got better. And then the Guruji came and she said, and he asked Sitama that can we move this child, the daughter and mother? And that was good. And Mata nodded because Mata knew what was coming, and for that it was necessary um, for the daughter and mother to be moved away from their hut, from her cottage, now that they were feeling better. And when they both were taken away from the cottage and they were in very good condition and they left the cottage, Soma realized why Mata was so keen about removing or moving the mother and daughter, because Mata had healed the young girl's body, and she had healed the young girl's body by taking that pain and suffering into her, which was about to manifest in Mata's body. And later that day, Mata was overcome with pain in her womb area and she began to bleed. So she took all the pain and suffering of that young girl now. And in the evening, Sri Ram came to check on her. But Soma went to the doorway and she said, "You have to excuse me, I can't let you in because Mata didn't want you to come in and see her in that situation." And Sri Ram says, "Soma, this time I have to override her wishes. I will not let her suffer by herself." And Sri Ram goes inside and shuts the door of the cottage. And the whole night Sri Ram stays with Sita Mata. Next day, when Soma comes to the cottage and she sees Sri Rama says that the effects have now passed through the body and Sita Mata will recover again. But Soma says, "Prabhu, she took so much pain. She took all the pain away from that young woman and she took it upon herself." And Soma says, "This is not the first time Sita Mata has done. How much can her body endure by taking everyone's pain?" And Sri Ram says, "For Sita, every life is precious. How many times she would have given up her body to save another." And Sri Ram says, "How many times I had to intervene to get her back on this material realm. But Soma, one day I will not be able to do so." And Soma could see a pain that crossed Sri Ram's face. And Sri Ram said, "Soma, even I don't know the extent of suffering and sacrifice she did in Lanka because she never shared with me. It was her wish to keep it all quiet, out of public view. The world will never know what she has sacrificed and given to preserve this life on this earth." And he said, when she stood in front of those two bandits, the two robbers, with her arms outstretched and telling the Guru not to curse, I could see she was showing so much compassion for those two bandits in spite of all that offenses they had done. At that moment, Soma, when she was standing there opening her stretched arms, I could see that she was taking all the negative thought forms and absorbing in her body. And I could see the negative forms entering her body and were being consumed and destroyed with the Shakti she had invoked. And that was the reason she was trembling. She was destroying all the negativity of this earth by invoking that Shakti that was in the light form in her body. And Sri Ram says, that is my pain, that is how I feel for her, because I cannot take the burden from her. She assumed so much pain from this world in just that couple of minutes when she stood there with stretched arms, and all that pain she took and she took and she consumed in that fire of Shakti. That half an hour what she went through, I could not take any pain away from her. So this is how Sri Ram is telling that how much he wants to help Sita Ma for all the sacrifice she is doing to preserve life on earth. But how little can she help? Next day when Mata became better and Sri Ram went away, Soma was telling Mata all that Sri Ram said. And Mata just brushed it off and said, what I did is nothing in front of what Sri Ram has done. I'm only a reflection of his love for this world. And Soma thought, oh my God, what a perfect couple they are. They have such pure love. How well they speak of each other. There's no words to describe. And Soma thinks we all should aspire to manifest at least a small portion of the love that this couple brought to earth. And then a few weeks happened after the incident. And one day when Soma returned from the forest, She saw Mata deep in conversation with two women. She did not recognize who these two women were. This looked familiar, but she knew that they were someone very important. Um, were very important. So she started cooking for them. And then Mata served them both with her own hands. And after they left, Soma was asking who those two people were. And she said, "You didn't recognize them, Soma. They were sages Arundhati and Kyatima. Didn't you recognize them?" And then Soma remembers that in the beginning, when Mata realized that she had to come to forest to fulfill sage Phrugu's curse, and when they came to the forest, it was Arundhati Ma and Kyati Ma that they had discussion, and they told Mata how she was going to spend the rest of the time here in the forest. And then Soma realizes that at that time Kyati Ma has said that part of the request Kyati Ma made to Bhargavi in her that incarnation of Bhargavi is she requests Bhargavi that when you take the form of human to fulfill this curse, you have to end the time of sage's curse. And because Mata had started that the previous day by protecting or outstretching her arms and making the Guruji not give the curse, Soma understood that that's why both the female sages, Arundhati and Kyatima, has come to appreciate Mata. And so she says, "Mata, that means there will be no more curses from here on?" As Soma asks this question, Mata says, "It's not that simple. But over time, the power of curses will diminish, Soma, until they have no more effect. The power of speech is already declining, as you can see. What happened the other day was just not my effort alone. It was the collective aspiration of so many people, which I was performing through me. In the future, there will be very few who have that command over sound, who have that clarity in their speech, a command that has the power to manifest. There will always be some sages hidden from human view who have this ability and responsibility. But that is required for preservation and guidance of this material realm. But apart from that few who have that great command over their voice power, rest of the sages and rest of the people will slowly, their power of curses will diminish." And this is how Mata started this whole cycle of diminishing the power of curses from that point. So, my dear friends, I will end the 13th episode at this point of time. And when we meet next time, we will continue the 14th episode. So, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Have a great week. Thank you very much.